everyone, Alexandra here again. Today we are looking at an app you can use to create email marketing content for your audience. And if you're wondering how this tool is different from the others, basically it's a highly visual tool that will help you put together email campaigns with limited design knowledge, so you don't have to be a designer to put these together. Remember that the tool is still in its beta version, so it doesn't yet have super advanced features, but I'm going to take you through everything you can do at this moment. Now, the very first thing when you enter the app is you will get to see your emails, and of course you can sort them and add them into folders so you can keep them organized. I highly recommend you do this. Just create a new folder and maybe keep in there your newsletters or your sales campaigns or specific emails related to one campaign so that you can kind of put some order into your content. And this will be super helpful if you have maybe a small business, an agency, and need to manage multiple projects and clients. Now, to get started with creating emails, just go to New Email. And from here, you can choose among some goals you might have with your email campaign or just start from scratch. And you can also just scroll through these to find a template that suits your needs. Let's just opt for something like an editorial newsletter. Click on View Details. And here you will be able to kind of preview what the newsletter will look like. And you also have the mobile version, which is super important to test. And we are going to click on Customize. Now, what you'll notice when you first enter Flodesk is that the interface is essentially different from most tools out there. So instead of having, a menu maybe on the left side with everything on there or on the right side, you have to click on every element you want to edit. And then the menu will pop up on the right side with some extra features here on the right side of this element. If you click outside of the template, you will have just some general global styles that help you kind of put together for example, a border or just general padding and the font color, which let's just opt for this one. And this is just some general settings to make sure everything looks right overall. But then you can go on and select individual elements. So for example, in this case, you can just choose from a layout straight away. And you have multiple options. You can opt for an image in text, which is what we have here, image collage, and just graphics. And once you scroll through these, you will find quite a few highly visual options to choose from. Delete some of these so we can kind of start from scratch with most of what we have in here. So now I'm going to maybe leave one spacer block at the top and go to the second one where I'm going to click on this plus sign and I can add a bunch of elements. So you have two core options in here. You can go for the layouts, which I've shown you, and basically you can just select one of them, maybe add some links on top, maybe work a bit with how you want the padding to look like, add some background color, add some extra padding depending on how you want it to look like, and make sure you have the accessibility option on as well, which is handy if you want, and you should want, people with screen readers to have access to this. And then you can obviously go on and add an image in here, either from your own computer or upload it from Unsplash. Let's just select this one for now. And of course, you can kind of zoom in on this picture, but make sure you have a high definition one. You can add some overlay on top of this. And next, I want to add one more element below, and I can choose maybe an image, a logo, a video, some images from Instagram. So you can kind of connect it to your Instagram account, and then you can choose which images you want to display. Right now, I want just some text. I'm just going to leave this mock text, and basically you want to, kind of change how the font looks like, the size maybe, change the color. Again, this font here is the one I selected from Global Styles. That's why it's so bright. And of course, this is something I like a lot. I mean, honestly, I've seen a lot of tools that don't let you align text wherever you want to. So that's crazy, but here you can do this. You can also opt for just all caps. So this is super easy to edit, spacing, and some other options just for the block. So this is super handy because you don't need any coding knowledge. You can just go to block and work with the padding from here. So basically this helps you adjust exactly how much space you want in between elements, on the side of an element, and so on. Then I want some extra elements, and I can add maybe a link bar, which will lead you, for example, if you click on one, you can kind of change the name from here, something like product, or maybe you can have like shoes, clothes, sales, whatever you want to, and just add a link on top of this, or you can attach a file. So basically this works like a menu bar, so to say. Remember, you can go to block and again, edit this a bit, even extend the number of links you want or have fewer. Then I want something like, I don't know, maybe a divider. This just adds some space and you can always just work with this according to your needs. You also have a spacer, which is literally just some space and you can drag it like this around. And really for every element, you can drag it as you wish to add some of that padding that you would also add from the block section. And I want to maybe add one button here. Remember, you can always just drag this and move it as you wish over maybe another element. For example, you can just place the button here, click on the block, and you obviously have your editing options, but I like this black. To black, and then I'm going to this background here, head over to block and change the background to something like a yellow. Maybe not as bright, but you know the deal. And again, you always have some other elements in here. This is the footer, which you can always make sure you have like here at the bottom. You can just drag it like so. The brand address that's here, you can just add it once from manage my address and basically it will appear on all of your emails. Of course, you also have the social block settings in here. Don't forget about the links, which again you can set from here and then just copy and have all of the time. So this is super handy. Make sure you have the unsubscribe footer at all times and have it include unsubscribe and manage preferences. So you can choose either this or something simple like so. Now, if you go on top of any element, for example, this text box, you will have the block settings here as well. And you can always duplicate this and delete it. So for example, you might want to just duplicate this block here. And then you might want to move it. Yes, moving big blocks like this is a bit more difficult. So if you have, for example, two similar blocks, let me just change the background for this a bit to make sure it's obvious that we have two different blocks. Instead of moving the large elements, take the small button and move that, or you know, whatever text you have, kind of like so, and you should be good to go. Always test or preview, if you will, what this newsletter will look like on mobile as well. And of course, you can kind of play around with these. Now, my example doesn't look very great because I'm just testing multiple things to show you what you can do with this. But, you know, you can always go to choose a template, pick an example from here, come in and add maybe your own imagery. I'm going again for an unsplash photo. This time I want something like a fruit. And I'm also going to round this image a bit. I don't want any zoom and this should be good to go. And then I'm just editing my text a bit. Don't forget that the options to add bolded sentences are in here. And I'm going to add actually an overlay on top of this, something like a black color and kind of like so. Maybe go back to my text and change the font to white. And anyway, you can just play with these a lot and then just preview this and kind of see what this will look like on any device. Now on the left side here, you have the option to send yourself a task and you will receive it via your email so you can see how it looks like in an inbox. And you also have the save to favorites option. I recommend using this if you are going to spend more time planning a campaign and need to always have access to this one. Or, if you work with a collaborator, it's nice to have the campaign you're working on at the top. Let's say we're done with this design. Let's just click on next. Then you are about to set your own campaign. Just add in your name, or you can add in your name followed by maybe your company or business. And for the subject line, just add whatever you think will catch somebody's attention, like join our Facebook group, whatever you want to kind of promote. Add the preview text. Now, the preview text is what people will see next to the subject line. So it's kind of the description you see in your inbox. And then it's finally time to choose your recipients. So you can add individuals manually if you want to. Upload a CSV file with all emails, or start adding some segments in here. And I'm actually going to show you how to create these. So to add any subscribers or create a segment, go to Audience here on your dashboard. And here you have a bunch of options to add individuals. I'm just going to add one of my emails, and I'm naming it Sarah. Straight away, you have the option to create a new segment. So I'm going to say something like newsletter, and maybe these are the people I want to send the newsletter to. Or you can segment by industry, by just target audience, or maybe you have some subscribers from a specific campaign and you want to kind of automate certain email sequences. You can start with creating some segments here, click on save, and then you will always have your details around that subscriber in here at a glance, including, their data, how many emails they opened, if they clicked on something, what device they're using. And if you go to segment, you will find a segment I created in here, or you can just create a new segment like PPC campaign. So maybe you want to retarget people who interacted with an ad of yours or anything like that. And you can just view your segments in here and continue adding subscribers, ideally via a CSV file, so you don't have to do this manually. You always have the sorting options and some filters in here as well. So now that we have our first subscribers, we can go on and add just individuals in bulk or add by segment. And in this case, I'm opting for my newsletter. And you can even choose to exclude certain segments. So for example, if you have a subscriber who is in your newsletter segment and also in your PPC campaign, you might opt to exclude those who are in the PPC campaign. This just helps you ensure you don't send an offer to the wrong people, so to say. Click on save, always click on save. And you can decide to send the email straight away or later. And basically later lets you kind of schedule when you want to send this. And you even have some suggestions in here. And you can play around with your time. So ideally you've set this before. Click on schedule and basically just schedule it and it will be good to go. And now we are going back. So I can show you two more features in Flodesk, and one of them is forms. Like with emails, you have your forms and folders you can sort these forms into. Just create a new form. And so this is the form that you would use to bring people to your email list. You have the classic pop-ups, but you also have a nice banner. You can add this maybe at the bottom of a page, at the bottom of an article, or on your main home page, maybe after a couple of testimonials or whatever you want to. And really, there's just a lot of options in here, including this full page one. This is basically a separate landing page, so we are just going to choose this so I can show you what it looks like. And you can go and create a segment straight away. So for example, something like website. So people who came via your website landing page will be added to this segment straight away. And this is what's different about Flodesk from some of the other email marketing tools. You get the best practices as you go so that you can ensure you have all of the segments correctly and all of your data in here. Now I'm just selecting an image You can also add GIFs, and there's just a bunch of other options. Actually, a GIF is a really good idea, so I'm choosing this for now. You might want something to cover kind of the whole page, so I'm just leaving it like this for now. And then you can go on and edit these elements. It works, just like with the emails. However, in this case, you can go on to a form field like this one. Click on edit here. It works just like with the editor for emails. And in this case, we have an email where you can kind of choose what types of email you want to receive. So this is common, for example, if you have a website where you sell clothes for women and men and children, you can kind of opt between, women, a different segment like men, and whatever else you want to. And you can even create new segments from here. And basically now, when someone comes in and marks this field, everyone who signs up this way will be taken to your segment with women. So it's just super easy for you to target them. If you don't want this option, just go to form. You click basically outside of any element, go to form and turn off the preferences option. You can also choose to display the image on mobile. So now it looks like this, which is actually quite cute. This is a good idea to use, honestly. If you turn off the feature, the image won't appear anymore. So you might want to turn this on if you want to keep the page engaging, but keep in mind this might slow down the page a bit, so that's why you want to turn it off. Personally, I would probably turn it off, but yeah. And of course, you can kind of work with how you want this to look like. I mean, you can go to extremes really, so you can kind of make your page stand out from the rest. And then you have this messaging option, which if you notice when I switch between these is basically the message people will get after they subscribe. Now, so far you have the options to choose from a template for this basically, or add in your just custom message in here. See you in the inbox. So we're just going to go ahead to next, and we can enable a double opt-in. I recommend this because, iOS updates, and it's just safer if you want to avoid bots and spam. You can also customize the opt-in message from here. You will find these settings in your My Account section as well. And basically you go to edit, always click on finish after you're done editing. Then after customizing our double opt-in, we go to continue. We also have the option to receive a notification when somebody subscribes. You don't necessarily need this. And to decide what happens after a form is submitted. So after somebody confirms they want to receive the email, you can simply display a success message or redirect them to a new URL. And this is kind of a better option if you want to keep them in the loop, so to say. So you can give them something for free that's available at a separate landing page, or you can kind of redirect them maybe to your services page or to some educational content. Now you will be prompted to share your form. So you can take this and just add it maybe on social media or wherever you want to start gathering these leads. And you can also view your form live. Now, if I'm going back to creating a new form, and this time I'm going to select a pop-up. So let's say I'm happy with how this looks like. I head to next. And what you will notice with different types of pop-ups or email forms is that they tend to have different settings. So in this case, you have the double opt-in option, and then you get to choose when you want to display this pop-up. So you can decide maybe immediately, after 10 seconds, after 30 seconds, and to decide if you want this pop-up to be shown to returning visitors who have already subscribed, which honestly you don't want because you already have their email. And again, some other options, including the what to display after the form is submitted. And now, instead of just seeing the live version of your landing page or having a link, you are going to take this code. It's basically a JavaScript snippet and just add it on top of your website to make sure that the pop-up is displayed correctly. Finally, remember you have your workflows, and these are what you need to sustain consistent communication and lead nurturing programs via your email. So we're just going to create a new workflow. And here you have basically a bunch of goals, and I'm going to opt for the lead magnet delivery, which is something most of you will probably need. And this is where you start adding in, your triggers and what you want to send after a certain action. So I can add a trigger like, again, remember this tool is just at its beginning, so there aren't that many options. So right now you can only choose from starting a workflow when you add a subscriber to a specific segment, and I'm just going to choose the segment. And then here on the plus sign, you can decide what happens next. So after you add the subscriber to the segment, you can send an email, wait for a bit, add in a condition, or add in an extra action. Now in this case, I want to send the email, which is already in here, and you get to choose which email you want to send, kind of who the sender is, add in your subject line, preview text, and then you can continue this workflow honestly indefinitely. So let's say we have sent this email. You can then maybe wait for, you have honestly a lot of customization options with Flodesk when it comes to when you want to send the email. So for example, in Drip, another tool we reviewed, you can only wait, a couple of days, hours, minutes, weeks. But here you can also decide to send maybe depending on a specific day of the year. So you can choose to wait for maybe the 1st of October and send the email at that specific date. So this helps you schedule emails ahead of time. Let's say we have waited until the 1st of October. Now we can kind of follow up with a different email, or we can go on and maybe select from a couple of actions. Again, in the future, they will probably add more actions in here. So you can, for example, maybe add a tag to a subscriber or resend a specific email they haven't opened yet, but now these are really just the options you have. You can always delete this step, add maybe something else like a condition. Now let's say it's the 2nd of October. We can go on and add a condition. Let's say we want to send another email to people who have not opened this previous email. So what we can do is add a condition, subscriber open workflow email, and I'm going to choose this email. So basically, if they opened this email, I can decide to maybe go to action and maybe move them to a different segment or add them to a new segment or just end the workflow here. If they haven't opened this first email I sent to them, I can opt for, sending them another email. And I can use an existing email, a new email, whatever you want to. And then from here, you can kind of continue going and just publish your workflow. You can click on publish now and it's good to go. Now back to our dashboard, I just wanted to mention kind of the options you have here on the right side, the usual settings for setting up your email, setting up your domain in case you want to connect your website. Then you have, your usual branding options, the Optin setup again, integrations. This is super handy. There aren't that many yet, but you do have Zapier to help you. And this is it really. Remember that for the cost of this tool, you have just one option, so you don't need to decide among any other plans. You can give this tool a try for maybe 30 days, then maybe purchase another month at the monthly price to decide if you want to keep using this tool and then go for the annual plan. And this is it for today, guys. I will see you next time.